All right, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to Art with Liz. Many thanks to the Hoboken Public Library for allowing us to do these hybrid classes and to continue celebrating art and our creativity, even during these challenging times of pandemic. So we have finished the first month of the year. Gosh, it was just yesterday when we were so excited about the new year, but we are now launching into the second month of the year, February. And February is, as most of us know, African American History Month. It is the month in which our Congress has designated time for us to celebrate the extraordinary contributions of African Americans to this nation. And today we are launching our celebrations of African American History Month, with one of the most extraordinary artists that I can think of. He is different in so many ways. But before I begin, I want to talk about another African artist. I want to put in a plug, if that's okay, Laura, for Ibn Doi. Ibn Doi is having a reverse glass painting workshop right here at the library. It will be hybrid as well. Friday, February 3rd. Yes, starting at 10 a.m. And I'm inviting folks. If you are coming in person, we will be supplying all art supplies. But if you have a particular piece of either flat glass or a jar or vase that you want to work on with him, bring it with you. And if you have questions about the class on Friday, you can put them in the chat box for me, and I will try and answer them as the class continues. Those of you here, obviously, you can ask me once class begins. All right, our artist for today is a gentleman named Theaster Gates. And Laura, we can start the slideshow whenever you are ready. Wow, this class is huge today. I'm just delighted to welcome you all. And I mentioned earlier, usually we have several new folks today. Welcome. I'm thrilled that you're here. Usually we do short intros, but there's so much going on in this class today that I'm sorry, we're going to skip those intros. Do know that everyone is more than welcome, and we have artists here of all different skill levels and experience. It's going to be a great time for all, no matter what your art experience is. And as always, even though it's a new month, we're going to start the class with a brief introduction of the artist of focus. Again, his name is Theaster Gates. Theaster Gates is extraordinary, I think, for the following reason. Oh, folks at home, if you wouldn't mind muting, just a reminder, thanks a lot. Daniel, welcome. Theaster Gates. Laura, maybe you could help mute everyone for us. Awesome, thank you. He's extraordinary because he does everything. This man is not just a visual artist, he is an urban planner. He is a social activist. He's a community organizer. He's a musician, a singer, a composer, a ceramicist, a painter, a writer. He is, I think the correct term, correct me if I'm wrong, is he is an autodidact, a true Renaissance man. He believes that art is for everyone and that art has the ability to change the world. Where have you heard that before? From whom? From me. I agree with him totally. Through art, the Astor Gates believes that he can help the community that he grew up in. So a little bit about his life. He was born and raised in East Garfield Park on the west side of Chicago. He was born August 28th, 1973. That makes him now, I don't know how old, do the math. He's over 50 now. And he's most famous for his installation art and sculpture. His degrees are in urban planning, ceramics, and religious studies. Let's look at some of his art, Laura. Could we go to the next slide, please? He was the youngest of 9 children in a working class family. His father was a roofer. His mother was a teacher, and his 8 sisters were all interested in civil rights. They were all activists, and they inspired him to start doing the community work that he has done in his art practice now in his life. Okay, let's stay with this slide just for a little bit, Laura. Now, they're a little blurry because this is the world of digital sharing. I want to explain what his materials are. For years, he worked in ceramics. He only used clay. He is a ceramicist first and foremost. In fact, he went to Japan and lived there for a year to study traditional Japanese pottery. And one of his missions is to share this connection between Japanese and African American culture. He feels that there's this really important shared cultural significance between Japanese and African American culture. And I wanted to point that out. But he realized that pottery was not making enough money for him to do the community activism work that he wanted to do. So he stopped doing the ceramic work for a while and started doing painting and two-dimensional work. However, this is where it gets interesting. When he started painting and making a little bit of money, he bought a house. And the house that he bought was an old rundown building in the neighborhood where he grew up in Chicago. It was a rough, dangerous neighborhood. And he bought this old building and realized he had to strip the whole building, renovate it in order to make it habitable. And in the process of stripping this building, he fell in love with the building materials. And he realized that not only was he happy doing pottery, he was really good with using his hands. And he started using these building materials to create these two-dimensional images that you're looking at now. He fell in love with these found object materials to create installations and wall art that you're looking at right now. You could go to the next slide, Laura. And through that kind of work, he started making enough money to buy a second building. He started renovating that building, and it became a community art center where people came to do their own artwork, to open up their own studios, to start doing theatrical productions, musical performance, etc., etc. Eventually, the city gave him an old bank in that neighborhood, he didn't have the millions of dollars required to renovate the bank, and the bank was in really bad shape. And what he decided to do was strip the bathrooms in the bank of the marble that lined the walls and the floors of the bathrooms, and they made marble certificates that they took to the Art Basel Fair, and they sold these marble certificates and raised $1 million that enabled them to renovate this bank. And the bank became an even larger art center in his home neighborhood. And he continues doing this give back to the community in which he grew up, all involving art. And he continues to make his own artwork and art pieces out of these found building materials that he gets from stripping and renovating these buildings, as well as tar. He uses roofing tar a lot because his father, as I mentioned, was a roofer. And when his father retired, he gave him all the equipment to his roofing business. And Theaster uses the tar in his work. And one of the primary focuses of Theaster Gates' work is bringing together all of the Black cultural forms and making them available to the larger public for appreciation and understanding. And he wants to disrupt artistic canon. He wants to get beyond abstraction and color field painting and realism. He wants us to think of art in new and different ways. Thank you, Laura. I was just about to say, can you change slides? Here he is using some of that tar in a piece that he is creating. And you can go to the next slide, Laura. Again, this is a sculptural form that he's working on, made from found materials from buildings that he has renovated. He gives employment to people, continual give back to his neighbors, and now friends and fellow artists. You can go to the next slide, Laura. This is one of his installations in a museum. These are roofing tiles on the floor here. And I'm not sure what this says. I'm sorry, I don't know. Could be. There is a wonderful, there's a whole bunch of videos about Theaster Gates, but the best ones that you can see are on Art 21. I'm going to try and put in the chat box in a few moments the links to those videos. I was going to show you one, but they're kind of long. This is a, believe it or not, ceramic head that he made and covered in tar. And he's done many of these pieces, and they get installed in multiples, many of them in one spot. Again, you can go to the next slide, Laura. Here he is standing in front of one of his wall art pieces. This is asphalt and tar, as well as what looks like drywall. You can go to the next one. So this is some of his, he does do figurative work as well. This, I believe, is installed in one of his spaces in Chicago, but I could be wrong about that. Oh, good. We can stop here for a moment. The work that we're going to be doing today relates directly to this head that we're looking at now. Gates has been influenced by African art and sculpture, which makes sense. Thinking about his background and what he's trying to say to the public. we're going to be looking momentarily at some African masks and pictures of African masks because of how it relates to Gates's inspiration. And this piece in particular has been inspired by African masks that he's looked at. I don't think this is ceramic, although it possibly could be, but I think it's metal. All right, you can move to the next slide. This is some of his ceramic work. And more. This is inside his ceramic studio. This is a found art piece. This is made from ceramic bricks. Again, from old buildings. He finds materials from old buildings that he is renovating and creates these installation sculptural pieces. Again, more African head inspired by African mask work. I've actually seen this piece. It's pretty extraordinary. Oh, and there is a Theaster Gates solo show in New York at the moment at the New Museum, which is on the Bowery in New York City. I'm going to go see it. I haven't seen it yet. More of his ceramic work. And this is wooden. Looks like shingles from a roof, doesn't it? More ceramic. This kind of spiky thing is very reminiscent of African mask and African sculpture. I'm not sure which tribal group. Maybe if Ibu was here today, he could help us. You can go to the next one. You like the chairs, Daniel? Why?
I don't know. I thought that I kind of looks like they look at chairs.
I think they are chairs. Repurposed chairs. Like shoe shine chairs. See, here's where you would put your feet. Yeah. Remember? So this is definitely a statement about African American life, because when I was a child anyway, most of the shoe shine people were African American men.
Yes.
Yeah. It's definitely a wagon filled with his ceramic work. So this was probably something about slavery, this piece, I'm guessing. And here he is at his kick wheel.
Kick wheel?
Yes.
K-I-C-K?
K-I-C-K. So this could be an electronic potter's wheel, but there are pedals that he controls the speed of the wheel. This part here where I have the cursor goes around. It's a potter's wheel. It enables the ceramicist to turn the clay as he or she works on it. And it's a very difficult thing to do. Thank you, Laura, for the slideshow. So Theaster is still alive and well and still doing, I think, extraordinary work. And he is our inspiration for today. I'm, in a second, going to put up a picture of African masks. We're going to spend just a couple minutes talking about form and shape in African masks. And then I'm going to demonstrate for you one of the possible projects you can do today and talk to you about the options that you have for doing art today. any thoughts or comments? Anything in the chat box, Laura? Okay. L- Heather. Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Not only does Theaster Gates use found art materials, I forgot to mention this, he also buys collections of things. He's very concerned about the fact that his neighborhood is being changed by gentrification. And when he buys these houses, he also sometimes buys the collection of objects that he finds in the houses. For example, he now owns the entire collection of, hold on 1 minute, because I want to get his name correct. John H. Johnson, who is the founder of Ebony and Jet magazines, he owns the man's entire collection of magazines that he has bound in colorful bindings. And Theaster Gates not only has made a library of these bound magazines, he also makes installations of the colorfully bound magazines that look like paintings. And if you watch the video, the link of the video that I'm going to put in the chat box momentarily, I hope, you can see how he uses these colorful found objects to make art as well. He's even bought the contents of a hardware store that was about to be destroyed in the neighborhood and has created an installation with those objects as well. He's trying to preserve the culture and history of the neighborhood in which he grew up. All right. So hold on 1 minute, everyone, while I open up this picture, which I thought I had open, but I do not. Here we go. I want to share this with everyone. Those of you who are here, I have handouts of this. That you can use. Everyone at home, if you could give me a thumbs up, if you can see this image. Okay, I'm getting a couple of yeses, so I'm assuming you can see it. So these are representations of African masks. They're not the greatest. They're very simplified versions, but I'm putting it up just to show you that there's a huge variety of shapes and lines and forms in African masks. You can, if you have a smartphone here, you can look up African masks on your search engine and find millions of pictures of African masks. Those of you at home, you can look on your laptops or whatever electronic device you have and look and see the vast variety of masks for you to look at. And I recommend that you do that because one of your options today will be to make a clay mask, hopefully inspired by the design of African masks in honor of Mr. Gates. I have also brought some wooden carved examples. Now, these are made for tourist masks, so that you could see, those of you who are here can see, right? They're made for tourists. These are not masks that people would wear in rituals or ceremonies.
It's not,
but they're not the real deal. No.
not like Is it a replica?
It's a replica.
What do
Right.
you think?
But this is not something that a serious collector would own, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And here's one other, very different from, this one is so smooth. It's one of my favorites, in fact. All of them are based on the basic oval. And here are your choices for today. Number one, using clay. And those of you who are here, I'm going to encourage you to use clay today, especially if you've never used it before. I want you to try. If you do not want to use clay, and in particular, those of you who are at home may not have access to clay, you can create either a drawing or a painting. I did not bring paints today. I could not carry everything today. So those of you who are here, you're going to be restricted to doing drawings, either in color or black and white. Those of you who are at home, you could do paintings if you have the materials available, drawings or paintings of masks. Those of you who are here, I have handouts. I have 10 of these you could share. I do have these handouts for you to look at and use. Those of you who are at home, you can look to find pictures of masks online. All right, any questions so far? Folks who are here, I'm going to do a demonstration, but here's the materials that you need to get. At the back, there's newspaper. You really only, if you're using clay, you need one sheet of newspaper and you need a little bit of blue tape. There are 2 rolls of tape. What I recommend is that you tear off maybe 5 strips of tape and stick them to your table and leave the roll of tape back there for the next person to use. I'm going to get the clay ready and then we can begin. Those of you at home, if you have clay, you can start setting up. Otherwise, you can start setting up your drawing stuff. Any questions? I'm going to do the demo right now. Everybody start setting up though while you're waiting for me to set up. This is something that I could not set up in advance because the clay would have been dry by now had I done that. So it's going to take me a couple minutes. And you're all welcome to come and take one of these masks to look at up close and personal. Those of you who are here, anyone who wants to look at one of these, feel free. I'll just leave them there. Now, questions? Everybody gets what we're doing? Now, Nick, can you never explain what the relationship is between African American art and Japanese art? So that's something we can look up and find out for now. That all? Yeah, that's all. Wrapping around the moment. Oh, did you before I get my hands dirty? I'll try and put that one back on. Okay. Yeah, and you know what? I didn't bring cups. Do we have any cups, Laura? Shoot, there's always something I forget. All right, here's the link. I just want to copy it. Ah. Why does it keep making this box when all I want to do is highlight and copy? Oh, here we go. Oh. And that's,
Don't click on your back. Just without it.
I think I did it. Yes. Okay, I am sending everyone the link to the video. Maybe Laura, you could email it to all participants so that those of you who are here in person, you're going to get the link via email from Laura. Laura is the best.
The back. The tape? What are they using the tape for, Liz?
I'm going to demonstrate.
No, I'm just having another. Sally.
That's
There's a place here. Nobody's here. Oh, here. Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. All right. Oh. No. Those words. My favorite. What do you call that? What? Yeah. And over.
Terracotta.
Terracotta.
Those of you who are more experienced and probably know how to do this, I'm going to ask you to watch. I'll do it as quickly as possible. All right, this is clay. Can you hear me? Susan, can you give a thumbs up if you can hear? All right, awesome. I always feel like I have to scream.
No, project.
Project it. All right, I am slicing through the clay, which you can do with an ordinary wire. It didn't take very much. We are going to make small objects today. It's a little dry, this clay. I don't know why. So one tip, clay. This is a bad move. Don't pour the water over the clay. The clay will get too wet. The best way to do it is to fill up with a little water and let the clay slide rubbing it with your wet finger. What do you want to work with? It's easier to work with if it's a bit more. All right, so we're going to do first something called wedging. Now, this clay is air dried, so it's less important to do wedging than it would be if you were using clay that you have to fire and fill. You don't have access to film. Firing is very expensive. You listen to the Astor Gates video that I recommend. He talks about the fact that he stops doing ceramic art because it costs him $700 every time he has to do a firing. So we're going to use air dry clay. It's not the best clay on earth, but it is cheaper. Particularly good to use if you're a beginner. But wedging. Wedging is done in order to get the air bubbles out of the clay. Why do we want to get air bubbles out? To prevent cracking. And clay dries and warms up, the air bubbles expand. Oh, thank you. The air bubbles expand, and as the air bubbles expand, they create cracks in the clay. So we'll do a little bit of this, and wedging is achieved by pounding the clay on all sides. It should come out looking like an ice cube when you're done. So you're not pounding it's in one direction. You're pounding and turning. Gosh, we're looking at all kinds of technical difficulties. 2 minutes. Okay, ordinarily I would say do this for at least 5 minutes, but this is not clay that we have to fire and kiln where air bubbles is really a problem. The heat of the kiln would make the air bubbles expand really rapidly and the clay would explode in the kiln. So you can do this for a few minutes. Then you're going to do another basic technique in clay work, and that's called slabbing. And slabbing is the process of making clay flat or like a tile. Now I'm still turning the clay and flipping it, but I'm not pounding it on all surfaces. See that? So I flip it. Watch this. I turn it and flip it. I like to do this. I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and turn. Why do I have to turn it? Keep it even. If I just kept flipping it one way, I would end up with a long, skinny piece. But I want it to be more of a rectangle, like a tile. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and turn. Depends on how much clay you have.
Use.
Might take 5 minutes. It probably depends on what your arm strength is too.
Can you get mine too?
For a small fee. Just for you. Now, one thing you don't want to do is this.
Go too far.
If you do it too hard, you're not going to accomplish anything. This is actually quite soothing. I think you're going to enjoy it. Yes, I know. So I'm not going to do too much more. I wanted to make it thinner for the demonstration, but we're running out of time. One of the next things you have to do is take your piece of newspaper, crumple it, and tape it. Any guesses as to what this might be? It's going to be the form on which you're going to build your nails. Over the paper. And you don't need a lot of tape. If you found that the pieces that you pulled off aren't long enough, go back for more. You don't have to cover the newspaper with tape. Just enough to create the oval form or base. So you want to make a tile that's maybe a quarter of an inch thick, too thin, not too thick, but big enough. Yeah, this is too thick. You want it to be big enough to gently fold over the form so that you can build your mask on top. Then you need some sharp tools. Even old dental tools are excellent for using in clay. Now, this clay, like I said, for some reason it's a little dry. I'm going to let it before I begin. You have options with clay. You can carve into clay. And etch your lines. Or you can build with clay, but you must do two very important things. One part of this process is called scoring. And scoring is very simply the process of texturing the clay, making it rough, where you are going to attach another piece of clay. I'm going to join or stick on the nose by scoring both the surface of the mask and the chunk of clay that I'm going to attach. If everybody can see that. And I
stick it on, but I'm not done. Now I have to do a process called slipping. Slipping is when you take a tool or your finger and with water, you slip or mesh the piece of clay that you're attaching all the way around. So that it is permanently attached. If you were to just do this looks like it should work. Take a piece of clay and stick it on. Looks like it's permanently attached, right? But no, as the clay dries, that's just going to fall off. You must score and flip. Flip, S-L-I-P. What are some what? You're meshing the ornament, melding. Now, slip, if you were in a ceramic studio, there'd be slip in a bucket. It would be wet clay mixed with water. And you could just go over to that bucket and scoop up a bunch of that liquid slip. And dip your fingers in. And add the slip. All right, any questions? And I brought a variety of tools that you can find around your home. Plastic forks, knives, anything that you got. Because you can create kinds of wonderful textures using household tools. All right. How about it? Those of you at home, you can make your own clay. I'm going to cut the clay if you don't want. Excellent. I have 2 buckets of clay. We're running out of time. You cut the clay. The more you cut, the longer you're going to have to slap. You got it. Okay, I got it. This clay is dry after you wash. Start with this, if you need more, come down. Thank you. Thank you for your help. Somebody who doesn't mind germs can have mine. Well, if this was a kind of plastic. Okay, let's run away. I would not put water. What you can do with air dry clay, you can, once it's dry, you can get some ice And you
Yeah,
can
I can do it home.
coat it with plastic coating, Judy, and then you can put water in it. That's the idea.
Yeah, but now we have to make it.
It's all rotten stuff. You can't use this. Yeah, I can. Yeah. So how? Just glue it. How do you touch it? Slipping, you need a cup of water. Oh. No, I have to worry about it. After you slide the foot, it need more to build with. I got 50 more. Come on, everybody. Nope, no one has to ask.
Very smoothly.
You're right. Try it. Anybody not have water, please?
You're right.
Yeah, I would put a little bit of water on it. I would make it slighter big. Alice, you're ready. I would put a little. See, it's correct. Add a little water. Yes, and it's a little big. So we're gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna use it for something.
Far away. It's action, you want?
Yeah, I'll be.
Whatever. No, it's all right. Yeah. Yes. Folks at home, everybody okay? Anybody at home have actual clay? You can mix clay. I think I put this in the email I sent. I'm going to put it in the chat box. You can mix clay with 2 cups of flour. It'll make Play-Doh with 1 cup of salt and enough water to make it not too sticky, but malleable. And you can add food coloring to it. You can have multiple colored Play-Doh. You can go online and find recipes for Play-Doh.
and make your own. And there are lots of YouTube videos on how to make Play-Doh as well. Alice, if you would like to be on my email list. Oh, I was actually copy this. Oh, this is a 0. It's great. These tables are great. Yeah, this is perfect. Oh, a little thing. Love to learn in pain. Should be good for arthritis. Yeah. We got a little bit bigger. Yeah. See, you're different red. Yeah, so a little bit bigger this way. Yeah, yeah. So anyway. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Part of this is the size. Fine. Yeah. Here it is. This is your. Oh my gosh, yeah. He's a genius. I really I didn't have to play the video while working. They want to watch. Let's wait for Laura to come back. I need her permission, because then the folks at home. I don't know if they can watch it while we watch. Share video. Share screen and then. That's true. Video is awesome. Hello, sir. Did you very much? No. You're almost there. You didn't make your dates. The newspaper. You don't know how big today is. That's why I made the base before I did the slide. Yesterdays would be doing all of this on a potter's wheel, except for the
slipping and smarting. So I think I'm gonna put the video up now.
Oh, okay.
People can at least listen while they're working.
Let me stop and share.
And here's a note, everyone. Folks at home, I'm going to put the video up and you can at least listen to it. Can I turn it on right from the email, from the chat box? Why not? Or do I have to drag it to the screen? Oh, I have it open in my search bar. If I share the screen, there it is. Is that it, or is that your slideshow? Okay. So this is just an excerpt from the whole. Ooh, it's awfully loud. Still too loud? You know, I'm deaf.
No harmonies.
Still a little loud. He's got folks harmonizing with the sound of the potter's wheel.
Given the ability to see things, I can see not just the thing in front of me, but the potential inside the thing. The world is ripe for a making, for a remaking, for a reshaping. Art has the ability to help us imagine that the world that we live in is really just today's condition.
Welcome to the Stony Island Arts Bank. We are so thrilled to be opening our doors for the first time. The vision of the project was conceived by our founder, artist Theaster Gates. When he learned that the building initially was slated for demolition, it is out of his life as an artist living in this community that the Stony Island Arts Bank was born. Ladies and gentlemen, Theaster Gates.
Wanted to see how the wheel
I
works.
came to art in a pretty non-conventional way. I have a degree in urban planning and some background in religious studies, and I ended up in the ceramics studio. I think one of the reasons that I really like clay so much is because it's the thing that like no one thinks about. It's like always under your feet. I love that clay is always asking, I can only be as beautiful as you can think me to be and work me to be, you know, and that's just super cool.
Makes it so easy.
I grew up in Chicago. The neighborhood I grew up in is called East Garfield Park. We call it the West Side. It was a rough neighborhood. I had this anxiety all my life that my neighborhood was being torn down systematically, it felt, and that there was nothing I could do about it. But there was this kind of like hedge of protection that I felt was around me and my family through the Black church. I gravitated to the gospel choir. It wasn't about church. It was about the voice. I love the Lord, he heard my cry. And then everybody said, I love. And it was like this, like, kind of my first encounter with creativity. The Black church allowed me more space to dream, to imagine the probable, to imagine that the world was not a series of abandoned buildings, but in fact, just a world waiting to be restored. Just a closer walk with you, granted Jesus, if you please. Daily closer walk with me, let it be. This is like my station. I get to kind of look at works that are in process. I really wanted to be a potter full time. Every time that I would load a kiln fully of my work, it would cost me $700. It was too much. And so I stopped making pots and was looking for a thing to do and remembering that I had good hands, that my dad had taught me how to build stuff. And so I started using these found materials. As soon as I stopped using clay, the contemporary art world became interested in my work. You don't think that we need to tie these together
Well,
at all?
it's once that backlog is we will create pockets.
A lot of the big work happens out in the wood shop and the metal shop. Often the materials that we have are kind of a backdrop for projects. They become the structural material that allows us to do things. And then sometimes they become kind of new works.
The workspace where artists.
Here's one of the earliest civil rights tapestries. It's basically fire hoses that have been discontinued, sewn together and framed. And this body of work grew out of me starting to have a conversation about the history of protests and the use of the fire hose in places like Selma and Birmingham.
Never shown.
And these things that we imagine don't have value are things that we simply stop seeing as having had value. Materials like the tar on top of your roof. It's about me figuring out ways of forcing it to be something in front of you. My dad was retiring. He was a roofer and was giving me all his tools. My dad at the time was 80. I thought, man, it would be super cool to do something with him. And so I asked him if he would consider making a series of roofing works with me. And it was a real breakthrough moment. I'm always kind of interested in, like, you know, what's the soundtrack? I decided that I would lean on my parents' history and my history with Mississippi and use these songs that I learned there in the South in the church growing up to initiate a new music, the way gospel would be the root, and then the Black Monks of Mississippi, this band that I created, we would ride that root to invent a kind of new monastic Black chant. In 2006, I accepted a job at the University of Chicago. At the same time, I bought my first house on the block,
I
Dorchester.
forgot to mention, he's also a professor.
2 years in, the building next door to me was available.
Look at it.
Once I bought it, I was broke, and so I started gutting it. That becomes my raw material. That become works of art that then help with the restoration of the building. That work, those cycles, those processes, they still have to do with just simply being able to see beauty where it lives without pretense. A year later, in 2009, we bought a third building. Once we found ourselves with these buildings on the block, they became very quickly kind of repositories. One building became a repository for the album collection. That was this former record shop called Dr. Wax. We started playing soul music on a Sunday brunch. That was pretty cool. For folks who are here for the first time, welcome. To Black Central House. We're very proud to have you here. One of the buildings that we restored was this gorgeous brick building, and we put a screen in it. We made it real nice. People come in, watch great movies. Over time, more buildings were added. We did 32 units of mixed income housing for artists. It's doing really, really well. And so I started thinking of myself as an artist that was intervening simply by acquiring buildings or being a partner with others who were acquiring buildings and imagining that culture could live alongside the violence and over time, make it pause, make it stop, slow down, make it go away.
This is the bang.
I think that when art and culture is present, when it's doing its thing well, that it becomes a kind of magnet for lots of different possibilities. The city of Chicago gave me this building that is called the Stony Island State Savings Bank. The building was in bad shape. There was no bank that would give me the resources necessary to restore the bank. And so we used the marble partitions from the bathrooms to create these small bank bonds. And then we went to Basel, Switzerland, to Art Basel, and we sold the bank bonds. I'd like to imagine that we sold them to Swiss bankers. We sold those bonds for $5,000, something like that, and we sold a couple hundred of them. We raised $1 million to get the party started for the restoration of this bank. That in a way, the bank produced its own new currency that then helped to restore the bank. I love that. When you go to the bank, you can kind of imagine it as this new repository for the Black image and the Black American historical experience. What a miracle that we're all in the Stony Island Arts Bank. Thank you all for being here, right? It's become really clear to me that when people believe in the place where they live, when they invest in the places where they live, when we make the time to know our neighbors and our friends and we say thank you to the world, beautiful and amazing things can happen. And I think that the Stony Island Arts Bank is one clear reminder that beauty can live anywhere and that beauty has the right to live everywhere, even at 68 in Stony Island. I want to make the thing that makes the thing. That there's a way in which making the thing is cool, but to be able to make the thing that makes the thing is super cool, right? And I think that I'm still kind of principally involved in that. So do I want to have shows? Yes. But do I want to have spaces where shows might be created? Yes. The vision that I have for what art could be or what art is, it's kind of a big vision. And it's a vision that doesn't really have a lot of boundaries. Can art and culture change communities? Does it all the time. It is so evident that when art is present, things are better, even in the toughest circumstances. I'm asking questions of what the Black world might look like if we invested in it, if we gave it enough.
So I recommend Art 21.
To learn more about this and our educational resources, please visit us online at pbs.org/art21. Art in the 21st Century Season 8 is available on DVD. To order, visit shoppbs.org or call 1-800-PBS. This series is also available for download on iTunes. This program was made possible by the National Endowment for the Arts, Agnes Gund,
Oh, I forgot to
Lambert
turn it off.
Foundation, the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, the Anna Maria and Stephen Helen Foundation, the Horace W. Goldsmith Foundation, the Joyce Foundation,
Sorry about that. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it enhanced your work. And I know it was probably impossible to actually watch it fully and completely while you were creating. So I recommend that you watch it at a later time when you have more time to focus. Everyone at home feeling good? Robin had to leave, too bad. And Jane. Oh, thank you, Laura, for putting the vocabulary terms in the chat box.
Liz, did you stop to share?
I have. Do you want to put the Astor back up, or do you want to go around and show everyone at home what folks here are making? Sure, although looking at work in progress is fun too, but whatever. There is the Astor himself. Art21 is probably one of the greatest resources, online resources to learn about artists, because they have videos where artists talk about their own work, which to me is the only way to learn about. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be interested in a living artist and hear them talking about what they make, it's a great education in the arts. Now, this is not good, because I can pull it off. And you know why? Tell me why. What do you still have to do to make it stick? Yes, we did the scoring. What's the next part that we have to do? Yes, but you want a flat edge tool like this. All the way around. And you should do it for each one as you attack it, Sally, or you're gonna forget.
Like every single one of these, you have to do that, with, or they're all gonna fall off. And you work too hard to have that happen. Here's a note to everyone, this stuff will dry out your skin. Make sure at the end of class you wash your hands well, and as soon as you get home, put some hand cream on. Which is wonderful. Now, you slip the nose really well. Make sure you do it all the way around the edges. You do all of these, even the little one. Okay? Well, see if I can find a tool for you to help. Oh. Welcome. I wouldn't put any more water in it. It's gonna get difficult to work with. If that's even better. All right? You're doing great. You want me to play? Make another one? Did you get ours eventually? Yes, this is air dry clay. It will dry out. Before we go home? No. By tomorrow, it should be pretty dry. I would not put it on a radiator, nor would I put it in the sun. Put it somewhere flat and it will dry. It is not high quality clay that I cannot guarantee that it will last forever. But you can buy it at any Michael's. Crayola is the manufacturer. Called Modeling Clay. The company, I'm going to put in the chat box. If you love clay, this is really turning you on. The best clay company on earth is called Amico. It's spelled A-M-A-C-O. And they have air dry, they have firing clay. They sell glazes. Glazes are the colored dyes. Now, the air dry clay, I mentioned it briefly before. Once it dries, you can paint it and you can glaze it. You could take a mixture of Elmer's glue and water, and you can cover it with that, and it will be more receptive to water. So for example, if you made a pot with this clay, you could coat it with a glaze of Elmer's glue, and you might be able to put wet things in it. But again, this modeling clay is not high quality stuff, and I wouldn't recommend putting it in water. It will probably disintegrate if you do that. But Amico clay, if you love building with clay, you can go online to a company called Dick Blick, and you can order air dry clay. I'm putting that in the chat box too. And Amico makes a relatively cheap air dry clay. You'll have to pay shipping, of course.
Folks at home, you're good? No complaints? No, Amico is not cheaper than the Crayola, but Amico, Margot, Amico is if you're serious about this clay or using clay. Crayola Model Magic will not last very long. So if you want to make something that's gonna last for more than a few months, you want to invest a little bit more money in the Amico clay. That's why I'm recommending Amico. Amico is if you want to move to the next level with building with clay. It is not cheaper than the Crayola clay. Now you got it, Sally. Good. Wonderful. Make sure even the little eyes though, these little things have to be put on. See? It's not gonna work. So you have to somehow. Get in there and flip them. Every little piece that you stick on, you must do the slipping. Or it's just gonna fall off. While it's wet, it's sticking, but once it dries, it's gonna fall off. See, every little piece, not just the nose, not just the big one. You have to do the little ones too. Good. Susie, I want to see what you made. I love it. It's terrific. I'm proud you can paint it. I did it. Look, Susie made sculpture even with a broken hand.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Susie. What time is it? Are you finished, Alice? I can give you more clay if you like. Be careful of your clothes. Oh yeah, this is terrific. Yes, it's gonna be difficult carrying it home. Well, you can't leave it here. Perhaps we can make you a little tray out of newspaper. Now, I invite you to stay and not leave. We're gonna do some sharing of our work in a few minutes. And our sharing is completely non-intimidating and non-judgmental. You might get some good ideas for your next piece if you stay for sharing, even if you're finished. I beg your pardon? No, you don't have to clean places. Nope. Because they're just gonna get dirty. Doesn't matter. And they will, the dust just falls right. Got it? I'm gonna dry it out. Yeah. Put them back in the box you got 'em. That's all you have to do. You're welcome. You're finished also. See, I'm so worried you won't have enough time for that. Interesting.
I'm kidding. No, not that. I'm doing my hand out of it. Oh my God.
Oh. You might want to take a knife and trim a little bit of the front of the, I forgot to. You can't miss with it. It's fine. You need a knife.
You get rid of the paper and better in the case.
The raggedy edge of the glove.
I'll do it.
Now, I'm gonna get you the correct tool. And, oh, Alice, you got this. No, you're gonna need more than that. Oh, you got the whole cookie set. Well, yeah, you want a little more head.
No faces, just your pieces.
Don't cover it up.
This is really going. Like, go around.
Oh, thank you. Make sure people are willing. I would prefer that you not leave your muddy tools on this table. Please put them back in the box that you found them. That would be very helpful. I did. What do you rabbit? You're the rabbit. Cool.
What is this lady's name? Ellie?
Nice.
Alex. Alice, Rosie. Beautiful Alice, it's on the screen there. Suits on. Try to find the little one. Okay. Title. See? It's.
Good to see you. People at home are gonna have sharing in another minute. If you are willing. I'm really excited to see what folks at home came up with.
So we'll come back around.
I wonder if anybody made their own play. I still love making flower and water play. Did you ever do it with the blankets?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. You gotta keep them. Oh, the six.
Slipping. Are you watching? For a baby? For the baby?
No, she wants to start with
I don't want to, you don't want.
trying to figure out my ways of saying.
I know.
Just a feeling, very strong feeling.
That's my thing.
All right. I am loving what you guys have created. And as always, every single person's unique personality is coming through.
Go around, give it a name.
Okay.
Okay, first.
And a note on the, 1 second, Laura. Those of you who are filling in the comment form for the library, if you want Wednesday afternoon class, don't forget to put it on the comment form, particularly for activities like this, to have the morning and afternoon to work in clay. Think how much more we could get done. So if you want both morning and afternoon art with Liz, please put it on the comment form. All right, so this is Daniel's fabulous. Look at this great mask.
I call it the demonic lion.
I'm sorry,
I call it the demonic lion.
Mani Kalane.
No, the demonic lion.
Demonic lion. Sorry, Daniel. I am a little deaf, as everyone knows. Demonic lion. Great form in this mask. And great title. And this is our newest student, Alice. How wonderful. This is mask. I so love what you did with the hair in particular. And the expression on the face, just wonderful. And Estes, fabulous mask. Oh, is the stick permanent attachment? I love the texture. Really great texture, Esty. Well done. Susie left, unfortunately. Susie had a great mask. And Mika. Mika has opted to do a sculpture. She has done a rabbit for the Lunar New Year. Really beautiful form to this sculpture. I love its face. It's reminding me of a door. Mika, remember we looked at Albrecht Dürer yesterday. It's reminding me of a Dürer drawing. Next is Pat. Pat is also in a lunar frame of mind. Look at this beautiful rabbit. Just adorable. Really, this one's really three-dimensional. Well done, Pat. Heather was really inspired by the Astor Gates wall installations, and she has made a tile piece using newsprint as well as clay. I love the color that you've achieved and also the textural effects. Really reminds me of Gates' work a lot. So she's using found materials as well as the clay. And now Eileen's mask. Eileen, is this the first time you've ever used clay, Eileen? Fantastic. Look how great. And Eileen was directly inspired by the African masks that she was looking at. Well done. And she opted to etch her design into the clay, which is a wonderful way to work with clay. Well done. Messy hands means a true artist. And Judy, look what Judy made. Also directly influenced by African masks.
Beautiful.
Really well put together mask. And Judy's had to do a lot of slipping on hers. And Sally, look at this. Also,
Oh, wow.
directly at the African mask handout. Isn't the hair fantastic?
I like the expression.
Sally's been fighting me doing the slipping, but she's coming around to believing me. Now, folks at home, Margot, something to share?
Yeah, just 1 second. From yesterday's class, I finished, or I'm finishing
okay.
my rabbit.
Now, what did you opt to do today, though? Did you draw?
I wasn't able to do today. Where's the
Okay.
camera? Can you see? Yeah, there we go.
Yes. Thank you, Laura, for doing the camera work, as always. Oh, it's a rabbit. Yesterday in our class at the Multipurpose Center in Hoboken, we looked at the work of Albrecht Dürer, who did beautiful drawings and watercolors of rabbits. Well done, Margot. I want to see that when it's finished, okay? It looks so real, beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a floppy-eared rabbit.
Yeah, there's something wrong with your feed.
I know, my cats have been dicking with the cords. My apologies.
Careful with that. I don't want you getting any electrical shocks, please.
Yeah, I know.
Are they chewing on the wires?
I don't, they're fascinated with them and they get behind my computer and I have trouble reassembling whatever they've done.
Little devils.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, our new member at home, Winnie, has said the masks look awesome, everyone. Thank you, Winnie. Susan, you're next in my queue.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Oops, am I still?
It's the mask that I have in the house because I happen to collect these
Yeah.
things, but I did it a little differently with color.
Really accurate rendering too. I love it. I love how you're
Awesome.
doing the straw.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's just one of my many collections.
Right. I want to see the JPEG when it's done, please. And
Okay.
Susan, I love that you put your finished works up on Instagram. Everybody should do that. We don't have a place to exhibit our work just yet, so Instagram is the next best thing.
Oh, I love to do
Work
that.
out
Yeah.
there for the world to see, please.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And gosh, a lot of people left. We have thousands of people at home. Yes, Winnie, you're next. Are you willing to share with us today?
Hi, Liz. I'm pretty busy with my daughter because she's sick, but I was thinking of, I have a bunch of construction paper and I was thinking of doing like a cool mask with that.
I really think that's a terrific idea. When and if you complete it, I'm going to put my email address directly to you so you can send it to me, okay?
Sounds great. I'll do that.
Put it in the chat box right now. Yeah, you got your hands full today.
Yeah.
Sophie, feel better.
Okay.
This is a project you can help Mom with.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
All right, see you soon.
Okay.
And thank you for joining us. All right, what time is it? Oh, we have a lot of time left. Those of you who are here, though, you do have to start cleaning up because this is a messy project. Those of you at home, you can obviously keep working. And we will continue our celebration of Black History Month next week. We are not using clay, unfortunately. Oh yeah, this is, oh,
I gotta glue everything down. But
yeah, more though. It's more.
You think? I think less is more. I'll tell you what.
Well, you're the artist, so. Glue this together, show me when it's done.
Okay, I'll show you yesterday's rabbit.
I love it. It's a Kandinsky rabbit.
Yes. Although she says clay rabbit, but Heather. Yeah, Kandinsky rabbit.
This is terrific.
Well, I got a copy of my house in there.
All right, Daniel, see you next week, I hope. This is awesome. Do more clay if you can.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And our artists, let's look up the artists for next week so I can let you know in advance. Those of you on my email list, I will let you know also, of course. No. So, next week, we should have our model back next week, Bill. We are going to look at the work of Charles White, one of the most extraordinary portrait artists ever in the history of the United States. He was African American. So look him up, Charles White. I will, as always, be sending out an email to let you know more about him and what we will be doing, but we will be revisiting our life drawing skills next week. We're still on. There's still 10 minutes left of class. I don't want to abandon anyone.
Thank you. Don't worry, once you're done.
Goodbye, Judy. I will try this second email address to try and
It will put you informed. See you soon.
Don't worry, I'll get you done.
Alex, a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
and tell friends.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go out this way, then you have to walk up, and this way there's an elevator. It's up to you, whichever you prefer. Nice meeting you, Alex, and beautiful nails.
Oh, but I see what you're thinking. But I'd rather not.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, she said the match was great.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,你笑我来吗？
大家
好，
Valley. Yes, that's like two. You want to come a bit, yes, 30 if you want. Eight free lunch. You know, that really far. Good question about it.
Wait. Awesome. Should. Want to be perfect.
Very nice person.
Yeah. Cool. I have a box for
I love to connect. Is that a great idea?
Get it online.
Gotta make a list of supplies. So, hopefully we need it.
Take them, yeah. Take them. I have a whole box of them. I keep forgetting to put it up. I leave it in the box. I gave you a box. Oh, yeah, that's the paper. Should have brought it today, but. You know, I have it squirreled away in the closet.
Everything I put out.
Stuff though. I bought it, stuff.
Well, one of the things. Oh, don't eat it. No, no.
We have some on. Yes, we do. Let me check in with them. Everyone's shared. Yay. Yeah, Robin had to go early, but it seemed like there were hundreds of people at home today.
Question. Remember I showed you the little glass bottle for I want to give the ebook. If I bring it over? No, I want to bring it to you.
Yes.
I never did.
Yeah, he loved it.
Stop.
You should write it.
Stop.
I can put it on my friend's book. It's perfect.
I'll find time to go to the okay to give you before.
How? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Or you could bring it on Friday if you can carry it off. Too much. Margot, are you all right?
No, I'm wrestling with the cat.
I see that.
It's getting bigger.
Naughty baby. Hi, Mika, thank you. Beautiful rabbit. Oh my gosh, is he clawing you? Margot.
No, he's just moving from shoulder to shoulder.
Yikes.
And when I put him down, he comes right back up. So.
Have a fun yoga class. Those of you at home, don't forget there is yoga this afternoon. You can do, is the yoga virtual also? Yes. Oh, it's not virtual. You must come to the library for yoga. My favorite is the Mexican takeout. Right across the park. They're not always open. They have great food. Really, really good. And the people who run the place are so nice. It's, what's it called? Mission burrito or Hoboken burrito. I forget what. What? I have not yet. What time is it? Goodbye, guys. See you next week.
Bye, Liz. Thank you.
Charles White is our artist for next week. One of my favorite, and we will have our model, I believe. Bill Curran will be back to model for us. Well done, everyone. Nice job. Oops, something in the chat before. Don't log off just yet, Laura. No, I don't see anything new. It's just too new. But I don't see anything new. Okay, so ciao. Have a great weekend, everyone.